Hey guys, my name is Seniac and welcome back to another episode of Subway Builder, the UK edition. Well, last episode we finally shown the blue line some love and now it's extended into parts other lines do not reach. And in return, it has become the second most used line that we have within our company. But there was a little bit of an undertone to why I extended the blue line and I showed it some love. It wasn't because I was showing it some love. We all know what the real reason was. I extended it so I can begin works on building my big looped system. So today, that's what we're going to do. And the problem with building a loop system is you can only really build it as far as you currently spread out. Now, looking at it so far at the minute, we're not really spread out down here, so I feel like when we do our loop system coming around here, we're going to be in a little bit of no man's land, and it might then entice me to extend a little bit further on the yellow and the green line. But, looking north, we can pretty much do a big semicircle going all the way over it. Now, it's going to be an expensive thing to do building this looped system. It's going to be a really, really great way to transport the passengers, but I don't know how much of it I'm going to be able to build because of how expensive it is going to be. So, if you are excited for this episode and are enjoying the series so far, then make sure you smash the like button down below, subscribe if you are new, so you do get notified when more episodes do come out in the future. Now, we've got to plan this out. I've got 1.2 billion in the bank right now, and since we extended the blue line, my money has completely skyrocketed to the point where we're now making upwards, almost, 20 million off $600 million profit every single day. Now, we're going to extend it even further right now. We're building this looped line, and I'm pretty excited about it. So I think what we'll do is we'll start up here in the north area. Now, we've got to figure out where it would make the most amount of sense for me to run it. And I'm feeling like we kind of utilize this little run here as my looped system. And I've got to pass through the pink, the green. Now, we could do with a station here for the pink as I cross through it. We've got a station we can cross over there on the green. And we look like we could do a crossover station here for the yellow as well, before we then go ahead and bring it down. Now, that's the only downside to doing this loop system. Because I didn't really plan for it, some of the stations might not be in the locations that I'm wanting them to be in, but we can work around this. It's, we're building a subway. We can go underground anywhere we want. So I think that's what we're going to do then. We're going to set it all up. What I'll do is I'll get the loop system all in, and then I'll adjust the lines where I need to kind of incorporate their additional stations. So let's do this. Let's build a station. Let's start with -5, and I should be able to go under this, right? Yes. So we will do a -5 just there. And I should be able to incorporate a diagonal -5. Now, apparently there is an elevation issue here. I think that's because it's already underground, isn't it? So I can do a -10 for the elevation change. And I'll do it like that. So it would have been cool to run a kind of like a dual quad station. But I think we can get away with it by not doing it. And I think we'll be okay. I want to do one just there as well. So that's where I want the stations to cross over on those 3 lines, which makes a lot of sense. And then pretty much coming down, we are looking like if we come down there, follow this round, we can kind of come down this way. I could cross over there, but it's getting a little bit close. I might cross over here and then run down to here as well. So we'll do a station crossover there. And then we will incorporate a station crossover. Where was we going with this again? Sorry. Was it going to come down this way? I think it was. And then we'll do a station crossover just there. Right. As I slowly choke right now my own words, that is a quite extensive system. I just want to figure out where the crossover point is going to be for the red line and the blue line. So we are going to bring it quite wide round, which I think will be a glorious way to do it. And I think a crossover point would go glorious. So if I'm kind of technically following this line, we kind of come down to the point where we would be able to cross here, which is nice. And then leading down here, I've got a couple of options. I might make it go through the Canary Wharf area, so coming directly down like that. Right, so I'm not going to be able to build, or probably even afford to build, the southern part of the loop. But we can get our northern part of the loop set up right now. We're going to start there and pretty much end over here, doing a glorious semicircle, which will then lead us on to needing to do the expansions down south before we add the bottom loop in. So, with that said, let's bring up the demand stats, because now we need them. Now we need to know where we're going to be working. And let's slowly start adding all of these now in. So build mode then, our costs are already up to 975 million. That's expensive. That is expensive, but that's mainly because them stations are -10. So if I incorporate another station just here, that allow me to bridge the gap between the two. And let's see if I can get my tracks all set up here. So we can definitely cut across there. So keeping it at a -2. And we are going to have to slightly turn for this one. So bring it to there. And then we are going to have to make it at some point reach down to -5. So until then, let me just get myself in the perfect position to bend round like this to then gloriously wiggle ourselves in. There we go. So that wiggles round. It's a bit of an awkward situation, but we got to align correctly under the buildings to get to that station. So then if I run all the way down to here, which we'll try and keep it to a -5 for a certain extent, which is going to be a little bit difficult, but not too difficult, might I add. I'm a professional at this right now. And that leads into there. So we'll add the crossover just here right now. So far, I'm still able to afford things. So next then, we're going to build some stations. And if we can stick to a -5, that would be great. We can run all the way up to here. So we can definitely have a... Actually, where am I running with this? Yeah, we are following this down. So we're definitely going to have a station... Let me check the difference between the workers and stuff. So it would be nice to have a station running just here. It would be nice to have a station then running just there. So they're pretty close by, but for good reason. Station just there, and then we'll incorporate one last station there. So there's a lot of stations thrown in, but we are saving a few pennies right now by having it at a -5, so we can kind of get away with a little bit that you wouldn't normally be able to get away with. Right, that works glorious. So a direct connection, not quite. Not quite. Right, there we go. And boom, straight in. And will it be a boom straight in here? It is. So all I've got to do right now is wiggle that right round. Absolute perfection. And now I'm officially at insufficient funds with all these existing stations I've placed down and the bit of train track that we've currently got in. So that puts me at now 1.78 billion. This might be my most expensive build yet. Just throwing it out there. Just throwing it out there. So there will be a couple of areas in which we have to go down to a -10. But if I can try and incorporate as many stations as I can right now at -5, that would be pretty good. Pretty good. Right, there's a few stations here right now. Again, good reason. There is a lot of demand in this little section. So that's going to lead us to over there right now. I wonder if I should actually delete this one and then just commit to the -10 round about here. That should work in our favor. Go back to building tracks, sticking to a -5 again, trying to save as many pennies as I can. Until obviously we get to this point here, but I wonder if I'm just slightly able to skim it to not make too much of a noticeable difference and not have to then go to -10. So that's kind of really worked out. That should elevate. No, it should elevate around about here, right? Ooh. Okay, we'll get to there. Bam. All the way down. Right, look at that already. That is a glorious extension. And we still, in theory, only crossed the blue line and red line. And then we're going to end up again crossing the blue line and red line at some point. But I'm reaching new areas, which is great. Very, very excited about this. My costs right now are up to 2.43 billion. Okay, we got the game in fast forward mode anyway, so we're hoping we can get there. So that would lead like that. And then I'm back to maybe trying to incorporate another station. Which this one might need to be a -10 just to kind of save the aggro. So I'm going to do it like that. Build. You run through. You run down to there. No problemo. Right, we're now running quite some distance before we cross over the blue line again. So not all of this is going to be able to be -5, unfortunately. I could do -5, -5, get to there. And then it'll be a -10 station here. That can be all -5 apart from the -10 station that would need to go there. I would need a -10 station just here. And everything else should be okay. So back to -5. There's a few areas I've missed with stations, so we'll definitely do one there. We'll bend this round to incorporate one here. We've got one there. That's in between two stations. And then we'll do one just there. Now, they're pretty close together. So I might go back to a -10 and then just readjust this station and this station. So I'm going to move that one a little bit further down. So we'll go there instead. And then this one we'll place here. Yeah. Right, build tracks. All right, can we run that directly? Yeah. So this is all now minus. Okay, no, it's not. Right, so it's all -10, but it's not all -10. I keep forgetting. We go up and down in various areas. All right, bring you to there. Nice. Nice. Not so nice. There we go. And bam. No. I just realised I could do this all -5, but I suppose it's not really going to matter too much at this point. But let me get this back to -5 here. So there was a slight building that was going to get slightly oof there. That's too wide of a bend there. And then we're leading it down to here. So a stop around there is perfect. We're going to make it go to -10 anyway. So we'll incorporate you just there. And we're hoping that this now is just a simple transition, no problems, because the depth that we are currently at works. And then we add the crisscross just there. So it's still insufficient funds. Look at that for an extension, boys. Get rid of our demand stats, the white track there. It's only half of our loop. It's the northern loop, and I told you, it's going to be too much money to complete the whole thing. It really is. So at 2.6 million, how much is it going to cost me additional? 4.37. What? Right, that is the most expensive, boys, the most expensive build yet. Now, what I can do is pay off my bond, just so I'm not currently right now paying the bond interest. That would be glorious, please. That would be glorious. When you look how many bond I've paid 5.34 billion, in bond payments since day one in this series, all because I keep having to borrow money here and there just to kind of be able to like finalize a few things and whatnot. But we've got there in the end. It's just I could really do with that 5 billion right now. You know what I mean? I could really do with it. Right, anyway, if we're making 600 million a day, right, we can issue a billion bond at any point. So that just means I need 3.37 billion. So by that logic, 2 days is 1.2. So we're looking at about 2.5 days right now. Now, I could fine tune a lot of it. And whatnot, but I feel like there's a lot of moving parts right now that it would be quite difficult to do so. So I don't think I should stress too much at the minute. Not just yet anyway. Not just yet. So we're going to wait for the next day of rush hour. This day's just ended. Did we make a glorious amount of profit again? Not really. We're actually down 20 million, but we should now have a bit more cash because we ultimately have now just paid off the bond I had. So if I do the last 48 hours, wow, we spent nearly $1 billion in bond payments in the last 48 hours. The last 24 hours right now. Now that number should kind of reduce. It should reduce as it knocks away the previous hours to the point where we've got 0. So we're going to save $1 billion in 24 hours in bond payments. That doesn't make sense. In my head, that does not make any sense whatsoever. Right, route ridership then. So let's take a look at this loop system. And now that it kind of does this big semicircle, it means people earlier on coming down the yellow, green, and pink have the option to transition, right, to either one of their 3 lines north without having to interact with the red line. So in many ways, it will reduce the amount of people using the red line, because if you're at the top of the pink here, wanting to get to the yellow, you got to come down, use the red line, and then go up. Now you come down straight across and up. So it will reduce people using the red line. But at the same time, right, it still is a shortcut to the red line. Now, it might provide a few more people to the blue line, because coming this way to the right, you transition on the blue line before you would have done the red line, and on this side you transition to the red line before the blue line. So that's interesting. So you might see a little bit of a decrease in red just for those who are switching between these 2 lines. Slight increase on the blue. I wouldn't say it's going to be much to kind of shout about. Not really. But then people who were up here wanting to get to like yellow, green, and pink would have come down, transitioned on the red to move up, to go up, or potentially gone that way. So we could actually see quite a bit of a dip on the red line. But what I will guarantee is, though, we're going to see we're definitely going to see an increase in passenger transit overall anyway. But could we potentially see less people using the green line? I don't know. It's a tricky one to decide, but my prediction is a few less people using the red line. It will increase a few people using the blue line, and I don't know where this half a loop system is going to go just yet. I haven't got a clue. I'm kind of excited though. Right, so the bond payments are nil in the last 24 hours. That's good to see. So will that mean that I finally have a $600 million profit day? So I don't think so. I don't think we'll kind of get there. We'll do better than the previous day. We will do better than the previous day. So we've now overtaken the previous day. My best day was 585, which like I said, I don't think I'm going to get anywhere near it, but it's still a pretty solid day. It's still within the region. It's still within the ballpark. And I have technically now reduced a little bit of my outgoings. Nice. Absolutely nice. So after this next day, I'll have over 3 billion in the bank. With then my bond payment, I can push myself up to having 4 billion. And then all that requires for me at that point, boys, is to earn a few extra pennies to pay for this looped line system. So, do any of these trains get overloaded to the point where we might need to add a few more on? I'm watching right now. Everyone's got double except... Oh, I thought that yellow line only had 400. I misread that then for a second. I panicked. I panicked then for a second. Right. Rush hour is now kicking in. Anything looking red? That blue line got a little bit red then for a second. Blue line's definitely getting red. So is the red line. So, to be honest with you, the looped line as well might alleviate some pressures on those routes. So I can see it being like a huge benefit all round. That in itself is going to be worth it. That in itself is going to be worth it. Right, so that's obviously going to come down, and it's going to come down and cross through here and then go up. So pretty solid loop system. Quite happy about that. I think there is like a loop system in London anyway, but I think it's mainly on the north side of the Thames, right? Is it called the Circle Line or something like that? Hence the name Circle. So yeah, interesting one. Very interesting, boys. Very interesting. So let's take a look at the route riderships. Sorry. Yellow line is now... Wow, okay. The yellow line is now the least used line. When did that happen? I'm sure it was the green line that was the least used. Okay, I did not expect to see that then. I wonder why that is happening. I wonder why that's happening then. Is it because, I mean, they would have come down to there. Are they using the green line to transition a bit more? Potentially. Potentially that is what they're doing. But then again, the yellow line here is not very populous. So although it does look like a longer line, it does go to less demanding areas. Yeah. Right, station ridership anyway. You can see from these numbers, the amount of people utilising them. I'm surprised the yellow line is doing so weak, considering that the second highest station in grouped is on the red and yellow line. But if you do it by transfers... it's still the second most transferred line or station. And what are they transferring to then if the yellow line's not being used that much? Well, the issue is, when you look at the transfers on the green line and add them all up, it equates to more than the... Oh, I think it does. I can't do quick math, but you get the gist of it, boys. You get the gist of it right now. Right, where are we at then? So this is the day that I should be able to afford building my looped line. So we had another high profitable day, 576 million. So I just require by the end of this day, actually no, I think it might be like midday. I think all we've got to do is wait till about midday. Yeah. So in all the days, the most I've spent in a single day is just under 3 billion. That is the most I've ever spent in a single day in this game, in this series. And we are about to destroy it. This is going to be a record expense right now, this. Mainly because most of this is down -10 underground. Right, let's wait for rush hour to kick in. Are we still making money on the hourly? No, it's looking a little bit close. Maybe we can get rid of some of the trains. on the low demand lines, but it will eventually catch itself up. It will with more line extensions. Right, so waiting for rush hour right now, which is about to kick in. And this is where the bank account starts to dramatically climb. Starts to get higher and higher. And before we know it, we're going to have enough pennies in the bank. So let me just refresh my memory. This is going to cost me 4.37 billion. So I need 3.37 billion. Issue the bond. Start making those bond payments again. But it will give me enough to then fast track the build and get it all up and running. So we're getting very close now. We might need to wait for the secondary rush hour now, as the money will, the money will slowly start slowing down. Not that I'm not making it, it's just going to take a little bit longer to get into the bank account right now, boys. Still climbing. So let me issue the bond now. Let me just get it out the way. Bam. So I need 4.37. We're on 3-1 at the minute. 3-1. Right. Come on. Come on, boys. Come on right now. Come on. Let's go. Let's go. 3 point. There we go. We've got enough. I can now build those blueprints. Bam. So we've had to put a little crossover route either end because at the minute it's just a line. It's not technically a loop. So let's create a new line. And now we've got to pick a color. So what color do I go for then for this looped system? We've got the red, we've got the yellow, we've got the blue, we've got the green, we've got the pink. We could go with a light pink color. And I'm just going to call it my loop line. No, we keep the text. Should I go that kind of pink? Let's go that kind of pink. Do I make it white? Yeah, let's see what it's going to be like. Yeah, why not? The loop line, edit the route, which is going to start over here. And then we're going to run this now all the way through. Nice. There we go. On those couple of stops there. Now, one thing I haven't done is actually created the lines that cross over here. We haven't created their stations that pass over. So now I've got this in and it will be generating me sweet, sweet money. I can then start to get them in without having to wait around at that point. So get all this in. Get it making me money first because it will add to the beneficiary. So there's a couple of lines I've got to do it on. Only a couple. And by couple, I mean just 2 lines. All right, bam, bam. And bam, bam. And bam. So that's now all in that line. It's going to take a grand total of 41 minutes right now to do the full length of it. So we'll confirm those changes. The line is now in. I won't add the trains in just yet, because what I need to do next then, 200 passengers form independent nation at Lime Street. Wait, what? Someone's made a country in my train station right now? What I'm going to do first then is add the Chrissy Crossies on where the lines, then 2 lines technically need to stop so I can adjust it and then add them back in. It's only those 2 lines, and that's going to cost me the grand total of 30 million to do so. So get you in. Then what we do is we go to our route ridership, we go to the other line, we edit the line, and then we take it off all the stops leading up to it, just so we can slightly adjust it. So confirm those changes, go back, and then the pink line, same again, edit the route, get rid of these, goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. That'll bring it back down to there, confirm the changes, put it back into play mode then. So I will see a reduced ridership now at this point. But it's okay. We know for what reasons it is happening. So now, right, give it a little bit of time. I think we're now ready and able to do some deletings. So we're going to delete the station and delete a part of the track. Delete, 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 and delete a little bit more. So build a station then. So of course, it's quite close, these stations crossing over. Actually, do you know what? Add a crossover. Oh, the crossover's already there. I'm going to redo that yellow one. Because I feel like that station here could be slightly moved a little bit further down, because that's going to be way... I mean, it's going to be close anyway. But I want a little bit better. So get rid of you and you. And then delete. I gotta wait for them to give me the green light to delete the station. Come on, fool, stop using the station. I have a crisscross there. You can use that crisscross. Oh my goodness me, what is going on here? Boys, you have a crisscross. Use the damn crisscross right now. How much longer are they going to use that crisscross? Right, I'll come back to it. So, that is a -10. So, we'll make this a -5. This can go ahead and then be elevated, can't it? So, I could do this to a +5 and cross it there. I don't know where it was before, but that works. They're still using that stop. Oh, wait, hold on. It looks like I didn't confirm the changes. I was going to say, I don't think I confirmed changes. I think I might have accidentally cancelled the changes. Yeah. I think that's what I accidentally did. Right, pause for a second anyway, because now we can get it all in. So, stick to a -5 at the minute, and we will incorporate the station there. So we haven't really moved it back that much. We've just moved it back enough. Okay, just moved it back enough. Right, there we go. Little bit of a wiggle. I think that was meant to be elevated, right? All right, back down it goes then. Right, I'm going to have to kind of bend that down just to kind of like fine tune it in. Right, that station there's done. A little bit of tweaking involved, but we got there in the end. Now this one, we go to delete tracks. This should be fairly easy to get done as well. So build station, and if I go to a -10, is it already at a minus? Can I just run a -10 for it? Yes. Now, these are fairly close by, but we don't mind because it is quite a populous area. I don't have enough money to complete this, and I require 559 million, which we are literally pennies away. Pennies away right now, and then what's about... I'm trying to get this done before the next day starts. That would be glorious. Which I've now got enough. Bam, build. So, let's get these routes all back up. So, edit the route. Bam, 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 bam. Bam, bam. There we go. to there. And just confirm those changes. Nice, nice, nice. Then the pink line, we're going to edit this route. Bam, 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 bam. Very good. Confirm those changes. So they're now back to being fully extended, which means I can now, on that... Oh, I clicked the wrong thing. I got worried then for a second thinking, hold on, where's my loop line? My loop line, so I put it back into play mode because we're going to need trains for this. Okay, let's put 1 or 2 on just for a minute until we earn a few more pennies back in. So we want to buy some more. Can I get $25 million worth? So, bam, bam. All right, the money will run out. The money will run out for just a second. But we're all now back up and running. New areas are now able to be reached, but I haven't got enough funds. I have not got enough funds right now to buy the additional trains. What a shame. What a shame. So wait for the rush hour to kick in again. The route ridership, it's going to be very minimal. I'm surprised it's even 7,000 with the 2 trains at most at a time. Yellow line and pink line would have dipped down because I did kind of cut them short, but they'll then soon creep back up again. So that loop line then. Buy trains. I can buy a few more. Bam, bam. Buy a few more. Bam, bam, bam. Trying to buy them as I can. All right, $50 million worth. We should be able to get this done in this rush hour. And I'll buy 8. And I think that will see me through for a while. But we shall see. So route riderships then, it's already about to take on the yellow line already, which is quite exciting. Now, like I said, it might reduce people using the red line. We'll kind of keep our eyes on that. It either reduces it or it brings more people to it. I'm not sure, but I know the blue line's going to slightly benefit in some areas. Only ever so slightly. That loop line is now no longer last place. That didn't take long, did it? Yeah. Didn't take long. Will it overtake the green line? It looks like it's about to, boys. It looks like it's legit about to take over the green line. There we go. There we go. And can it do the pink line? Can our looped line do the pink line? Could get pretty close again. It could get pretty close again. So surely this is going to be pushing us even further in directions. In terms of making more money. It's on the way and approaching the pink line, so you better be worried, pink line. You better be worried. So on the next day when it does a full run, at full capacity with the trains that it has on board, should do pretty well. It should do pretty well, but that is glorious. So I would like to see right now the station ridership. So obviously that's quite important. We knew that was going to happen, and we knew they were going to transfer a lot of people onto the blue line here. Now we've got more people transferring here, which makes a lot of sense. So if I look at transfers alone, you can see where they're now transferring, which is kind of wild, isn't it? It is kind of wild looking at these numbers. Because that loop line is quite important now. It's just made itself super important. So route ridership. Will it overtake the pink line? I don't know. I reckon it will. Now, we haven't run a full day with the full system, but the income is already a lot higher. Profit is now... Wow! That loot line's gained us an extra 100 million. Could it now push us to an extra 120 million to 700 million a day? We was at 580 a day. Could it push us to 700 million a day once this day's over? The loop line is now overtaking the pink line. The loop line is now overtaking the pink line, boys. It is vital. It is a vital line, especially if the connection's going more north. Just wait to see how crazy and how important it's going to be once we do the bottom of it and actually turn it into a loop. Yellow line is still at the very bottom. But the yellow and green line, which are kind of both at the bottom right now, they've got to also extend down this way, but they will split into different directions. So they will extend and reach other areas, and it'll kind of creep them back up again. So this is glorious. This actually has worked in our favor. So I just want to see, once this day has ended, where we currently then level off at. How much money are we actually going to be making? We've still got a bit to go to reach the previous day, because obviously we've got this secondary rush hour to tear through. And it's normally the secondary rush hour which you kind of make more money, which is pretty good. But we're hoping it comes in right now, thick and fast. We're hoping, boys, the money comes in thick and fast right now. Which it is. It is right now. You cannot deny. Look at that. Look at the money coming in on the hourly. Damn. Glorious. Glorious. Right, that loop line is definitely pushing right now, isn't it? Right, well, what's it saying in terms of profit? Oh, it's not that far off. Keep it going. Keep it going. Could probably do with a couple more trains, or maybe taking some trains away, I don't know. I'm going to leave it as it is anyway. But that singular line right now, I say it all the time, has transformed our company. It's weird, guys. Every time I do a line, or every time I do an extension, it seems to transform the company, apparently. Crazy, right? Crazy. So, it's made more profit than the previous day. Can it get to 700 million? I don't think it will, because the day is about to end. The day is about to end in just a memento. Bam. We are just under 700 million a day profit. Holy moly right there. So we were making 560, 570. Let's call it 570. So now 696. We're now making an extra 120 million just based on that looped half a loop. That half a loop right now, which is wild. Now, when we do eventually create the full loop, unfortunately, I have to split the loop line into two, one clockwise, one counterclockwise. So it's inadvertently going to half in ridership. But that's how it works. That's just simply how it works. But I'm very impressed. Very impressed. What's this going to do for us in the long run? Well, we'll have to wait and find out. Guys, I hope you did enjoy this episode. Now making lots more money, we're going to look towards expand more south, so we can eventually get that secondary part of our looped line all set up. If you did enjoy this, please smash the like button down below, subscribe if you are new, and until next time I will see you all soon, so goodbye.